We'll jump onto the phone lines. We have the president of the Ghana Institute of Engineers. His name is Ludwig Hesse. He joins us. We want to have a conversation and reflect on our city because a little series of potholes left unchecked held the city down in congestion for close to 3 hours and more. We want to find out from him whether, as engineers, what their reflections of Accra's problems are and what some of the solutions could be. Engineer, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I'm sure this issue we are highlighting this morning has come to your attention. What will be your own diagnosis of Accra's problems with respect to congestion on our road, with traffic, our flooding issues? When you sit back as engineers, what are the conversations that are top of mind for you?
Thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity to talk to your listeners. Have a good morning to you all. Yes, Accra problems are huge, and they are also a problem of our country, Ghana. I just heard you talk about a portal holding up traffic yesterday. Well, I didn't experience that, but why that should happen in a well-managed city, it's anything that any one of us can reflect on. Look, for roads, the roads must be maintained, and it's one of the things that we have in Ghana is that we stop maintenance of our roads, and this has been so for the past 25 years. When some people thought instead of spending money in doing what we call routine maintenance, sweeping the road, patching potholes, weeding the roadside, regraveling gravel roads, and those things were a waste of money, and they should be rather used to go and surface roads. And so, over the last 25 years, we've lost completely the culture of maintaining our roads. A pothole, by the rules of road maintenance, should not stay on the road for more than a day. The potholes are patched immediately they appear. Potholes will appear on roads, but they should be patched immediately. I don't think you drive around and you don't see these things. So why a single pothole? And obviously, probably on a major road to hold traffic just tells you that the basic principle of maintenance, routine maintenance, something which should be done on a daily basis, is not being done. We are not putting adequate money to these things to get them done. And that is a fundamental issue when it comes to road maintenance. We've lost the culture of road maintenance in this country, and we have to go back. We have the maintenance fund, road maintenance trust fund now that is called. It's supposed to raise money for road maintenance across the country. And it's not being applied to road maintenance. It's being used to do all sorts of things, and now it's loaded with debt. So the problem is then compounded that the fund is loaded with debt, so we cannot even fund what is routine on a daily basis. And these are the things that we must rise up out of as a country. It's good to do big projects, to build big roads and things, but if we don't fix our maintenance systems, our roads will go bad again. And this is the fundamental problem. Look, in the 80s, coming into the 90s, our road condition on the trunk roads, on the main roads, was very good. We were almost reaching about 60-70% of our road being in good condition. Why have we deteriorated to what we see today? And why should it be that in a country like this, all our major roads are construction sites at the same time? It's a huge failure of the whole system, and that's my opening statement as far as this portals and on the road systems are concerned.
Thank you so much for your thoughts. Yeah, so if I hear you right, no potholes should last on our roads beyond a day. We must have routine maintenance, and that we've had road maintenance trust fund over the period. However, has been loaded with debt. The quality of roads we are seeing now compared to the 80s are not the same. The deterioration, the pace of deterioration is a bit faster than before. That's very concerning. Now, I'm looking at it in two ways with respect to road issues. Yes, we have to be routinely maintaining them to prevent them going bad, and that's the curative part where the roads go bad and we cure them. But on the preventive side, what is causing our roads built in this day to go bad so quickly that we need to be maintaining them ever so soon. Sometimes the pothole is patched today, tomorrow it goes back to bad. Why don't we seem to have quality roads today like we had in the past?
It comes back to the same thing, and the point is that when you construct, you have to make sure that you construct to the right standards. And typically, when a road is designed and constructed, it's designed for at least to last for at least 15 years. And within these 15 years, if it to retain its quality, then it must be maintained. And for instance, when silt collects into the drains, it must be desilted routinely. When grass grows by the roadside, it must be cut. If you don't do these things, it speeds up the deterioration of the road. Assuming that you've even done the right construction quality, sometimes we question the quality of the construction itself that we have. But the key thing is that whatever you put in, you must have a system for maintaining it. And when the pothole appears, you must patch it immediately. So these are the real things. But one problem that we've seen with the road sector is that they spread their wings so thin. We all heard when the new government came in 2025. As at the end of 2024, we had a load road contracts which were ongoing, which amounted to more than 120 billion Ghana cedis. Meanwhile, the budget for the Ministry of Roads and Highways in 2025 was this 2026 is just a little above 8 billion. So how on earth do you think that such a load can be kept up? So when you stretch yourself so thin, then quality suffers. Nothing gets completed, and the ones which get completed over a long time, and quality suffers.
Yeah.
So we must cut our coat to our sides and pay attention to the things that we put money in, and make sure that they are done well and they are done right.
Very, very important. And I've read the message or the press statement from the Ghana Institution of Engineering, where you have called for a total overhaul of our drainage, for example, because our roads and our drains are connected. If we build new roads and the drains are not properly done or are not done at all, the areas get flooded. And we've seen this over and over. A new flyover is built, an interchange is built, and it gets flooded. Is there an absence of systems thinking or design thinking in a manner that when we're putting up structures, we're thinking about how to solve more problems with the structures than creating more problems with the solutions that we seem to be putting up? What's missing?
No, when you come to drainage of the city of, let's talk about Accra. Look, it's a system-wide thing. So one interchange at a point cannot solve all the drainage problems that exist in Accra today. One road construction cannot solve the problems. You build the interchange in Kwame Nkrumah Circle, and the flood problem starts from Aburi, because water is falling and all the retention ponds have been taken away. So the water is arriving at Kwame Nkrumah Circle faster than it does all the time. So an interchange construction there would not mean that the roads around Kwame Nkrumah Circle will not get flooded. They will get flooded, because the flooding problems, we have not resolved them. Look, the studies that we've done shows that almost all the retention ponds we have within the greater Accra area is all gone. So water is not being held anywhere. So all the water is arriving. When it took like 12 hours for water, a drop of water to travel from Aburi to Accra 20 years ago, today, it takes about an hour for the water to arrive in Accra. So we are gathering a lot of water in us, and just 2 weeks ago, we sent a policy note to the Ministry for Works and Housing on how we think the only option left for us to stop flooding in Accra is to start storing water in our houses. locally. When the rain falls, we should hold the water there so it doesn't get to Accra. But after the rain, we can release it gradually to come. That is the only solution left for Accra, for instance. And we should be now compelling every estate developer to do rain harvesting and store the water on site when the rain falls and release gradually. That is the only way we can stop flooding in Accra now. And if we don't start doing that now, we are compounding the problems. Now, flooding in Accra is not something which will happen once in 10 years. Every year, as we are today, every year you get 3-4 floods, and it will be extensive. That is guaranteed with the way we've developed. And if we don't start putting the long-term solutions in, we will continue to get flooded.
Right. Now, in the long term also, I've read papers that have suggested that we have stormwater management where we invest into subterranean storm drains, that basically storm drains that are beneath the surface of the earth that are interconnected so that the water, the surface water, those we're able to hold with our retention ponds, we hold them, but for the bulk of it, they run underneath the earth. What do you think? How feasible do you think that sounds? Okay, we've lost engineer Ludwig Hesse. He's the president of the Ghana Institution of Engineers. We'll work the lines and get to him, but that was quite a conversation we're having with him a bit earlier. He's been talking about how we need to have retention ponds. All our retention ponds, he has said, are gone. Obviously, people have built in such spaces. He says that individually in our homes and new structures, real estates that are coming, we must insist that we have retention ponds. We retain the water to keep the water a bit. And he did mention that previously, it took a shorter time for the water up hills to get to the sea, but now it's taking more than an hour because people have built on the waterway, so there is that blockade. And no, we started a conversation.
So the point where water would have been retained,
exactly,
we've lost those to construction water view, so it's going to take longer for water to recede or seep into the soil.
Precisely. So you have a lot of flooding happening in most of our neighborhoods when it does rain. Engineer is joining us on the lines again. Engineer, please, your thoughts.
Yeah, Caleb. Thanks. Sorry for the line dropping.
That's fine.
The point you were asking about subterranean water storage.
Precisely.
Systems. Yes, and this is exactly what you are talking about. That subterranean water holding system should be built outside where the water drops. In our houses, in our communities, in the estate developments and things, we should be holding the water and letting it out. If the way Accra is developed now, is going to cut every road or put subterranean drain to carry water from Eburi to Accra. It's a huge undertaking. What we need to do is to hold the water in our various houses.
So you think that Accra
in that system? Every new development should by law do a subterranean storage of water and then let it out gradually. All new retrofits should by law do that. That's the way we are going to hold. You have to delay the outflow, the runoff. That's what we call it in engineering. You have to slow it down. You have to hold it. It was natural previously, where we had natural holding ponds. Now those natural holding ponds have all been filled, and we don't have them. So we have to now create them artificially in our homes. That's the only way we can save Accra.
Let me pick your thoughts. Yeah. Let me pick your thoughts on the moves to demolish and to desilt our storm drains and our major drainage systems, for example. We've seen that the assemblies and the regional authorities move to spaces that are built on waterways. They demolish some structures. They move on. It rains and the areas still get flooded. How are we approaching the demolition exercise such that it's not achieving its purpose? Should we continue it in the first place? How else should we do it if we have to?
Well, those who have built in waterways should be demolished, and there's no second thought about it. It doesn't mean that when they are demolished, the flooding problems will stop. It will mitigate something locally. But our big problems are big, and the solution is just not one or the other. Where Sakumono is being filled up, we should stop it. Where people have built where they shouldn't build, they should be demolished and be removed. And we should have a more consistent approach. Now, the complaints you hear in Sakumono is that they come in there and they are selective in the buildings they are pulling down. There doesn't appear to be a systematic approach to the way the demolition is being done, and that's the problem. But the people who have built in wrong places, they must be moved. I don't have any qualms about that at all. But that will not solve the the flooding problems in Accra. It will mitigate it a little, but it will not stop it. If we allow it to go the way it's going, it will enhance the flooding problems. So we should stop it. But the bigger problem is how the water, where it falls, and how to delay it from arriving in Sakumono, how to delay it in arriving at Kole, how to delay it in arriving at Peshi. This is our problems. We have to also start working on those things. It's so critical that we delay the flow of water that arrives in Sakumono and other places, even for us to say, let's be sure that the Sakumono, Kole, and other places are also available to hold the water that comes there. So it's not one or the other.
Right.
It's everything.
Thank you for your thoughts. And my final question, I mean, globally, everywhere you go, there are big conversations about building resilient, sustainable, livable cities. As engineers, when you consult for the state and the city of Accra, what's the plan? There is conversation about, look, Accra is choked. Accra is a lost cause. Let's start a new city altogether and put everything together from scratch. Is Accra salvageable, for want of a better word? And from the engineering perspective, do we need to rebuild a new capital altogether? What will be your comment on that?
Well, even if you go and build a new capital, people will continue to live in Accra. So the problem doesn't go away. So a new capital doesn't mean it. When Abuja was built, has Lagos changed? Nothing. So people will continue to live in Accra here, and the solutions that we need in Accra must be applied, in spite of the fact whether we decide to go and build a new capital or not. So I'm not very much interested in that discussion. The problem is that people are living here. 3, 4, 5 million people are living in Accra here, and their lives must be improved. This place must become livable, whether we have a new capital or not. And yes, our problems are salvageable. We've destroyed ourselves to a large extent, but we have to make some very hard decisions, implement some hard policies to start mitigating and reversing some of the bad trends to make this place really livable. For instance, we've broken the city into small municipal assemblies. And there are things that has to be managed together as a greater metropolitan area. And we don't have a clue as to do that. And this is something that we have to look at in terms of management. We talk about the Odo River. The Odo River cuts across from Aburi, from outside Greater Accra into Accra Central. And who manages that channel? Which assembly? And is there a consistent way in which we want to manage the Odo River? If we travel from Accra to Amasaman, who is managing that road? Which assembly? And how is it divided? Is it one network, one arterial road that is being managed? We need to have some greater metropolitan management framework put in place to overcome the lack of coordination in getting some of the things done. And actually tomorrow, we are having some roundtable discussion with the architects and the planners and the surveyors to discuss this very topic.
Nice.
And to see if we can issue some guidance to government as to how we think this could be done.
Please keep us posted. We're interested.
This is a huge problem. From the management problem, from city administration problem, we have a big problem already because we've divided the city into so many small metropolitan areas. There are things they can manage well, but there are things they are not able to manage.
Thank you so much. We're grateful for your time. Engineer Ludwig Annan Hesse is the president of the Ghana Institution of Engineering. What is